Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud, and I interview industry changers from across the globe about their past, present, and futures in business, innovation, and life. I enjoy helping people build their portfolios and bring out the authenticity of their business. Let's get started with today's guest. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very special guest here for the show today. Her name, well, go ahead and announce your name. Sorry, I got sidetracked with the phone.
My name is Kearney.
Wow. And tell me, I usually ask people where they're from, but it's an honor to have you here at the studio. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I wanted to talk about your past, present, and future. Anything you would like to talk about and highlight?
From my past, I would say that, I grew up, I'm the daughter of a pastor. My mom's a pastor. My dad's Jewish. And we moved around a lot because my mom pastored a lot of different places. And the most important part of my upbringing was watching my grandmother and my mom. Well, my grandmother passed down to my mom that entrepreneurial spirit as well as community spirit, because in our communities, back in those days, we would play in the streets. Everyone looked out for each other. So if someone may have been laid off, my grandma was at everybody's door. Hey, so-and-so's laid off. We need to pull together as a community. And
so your community was basically cohesive.
Very strong and cohesive. And when my grandmother passed away, I remember them having to shut down the main street in Inverness, Florida, and they had we needed to use the fairgrounds to have her funeral because people flew from everywhere, and then watching my mom carry on that, and now that's I call a family legacy.
Wow, and I hear you're trying to run for governor. Tell me that story. What were your mom and your grandmother was your inspiration?
Yes.
Cool. Tell me, how did you get started with it? I'm amazed.
So I got started with it because I'm just a regular citizen like everyone else, frustrated with the system, frustrated with always saying, how come we're always stuck with these two party picked, people that we as a people really didn't pick and don't have a choice in. And I'm a veteran, so for me, as a veteran and serving my country, I serve for people to have a right to choices. But when those choices aren't there, then how are we really calling this a free country?
Before you go any further, tell me about your veteran career.
Yes. So I served in the Army. I was
I'm a veteran too.
Hey.
Yeah.
Military intelligence. And I learned a lot from my first sergeant and my commander and my colonel. They all had played a big role in my military career, because when I went in, I was very feisty. They called it private loudmouth. Private, I gotta have it my way. And it's, when you come from our communities where you have to live hard and be kind of hard, even granted that I did grow up in a sheltered life. It's not like I grew up in a rough life, but still in the community and interacting in the community, you have to be strong. So, that kind of goes over into your military experience, and having my first sergeant and all of those embrace it, not as a negative thing, but seeing the positiveness in it, and saying, instead of saying that I was stubborn, they would say, oh, she's strong-willed and she's determined, so that we can put her with this type of group of getting things done and giving her leadership roles. And then they saw that I'm a people person. So she's very diplomatic. So we're going to have her to interact with these. So I got to learn a lot of security and national defense doing those type of things.
Wow. And tell me, where have you traveled to, Miss Alana?
Just Korea.
Oh, my God. We have so much in common. What part?
I was in Camp Koiner, so in South Korea.
South Korea. Okay. Yes. How far is that from Camp Casey? You know where Camp Casey was?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's okay. But tell me, let's fast forward. Yes. You were tired of the system and how it was working.
Yes.
I understand that. How long have you been trying to run?
Well, I ran for city council in 2021. And that was because my teachers at the college, I went to Evergreen State College. I was like, why don't you run for a political seat? You're very vocal and you advocate. And I was like, no, because we don't grow up saying when I grow up, I want to be a politician, because we don't see that as an example in our community. When we grow up, we want to be a basketball player, actor, those type of things interest us. But had I known about these things and had some, like a little hand of experience, when my teachers brought it up, I was like, yeah, I don't think that we can do that. And he was like, no, you can. I was like, okay. So then I explored that, and I ran for city council in 2021. And then when I saw that, without doing anything, just putting my name on the ballot and not making any effort to do anything, I had a website, but I received, I want to say, either 28% or 32% of the votes.
That's still good.
And that was with doing nothing. So that let me know.
Did you end up on the news?
No.
Okay.
So
that's still good.
But that let me know that people were frustrated with the system, that they were willing to go against the grain. I said, man, if we're all this frustrated, then we the people should be in the governor's seat.
I agree. What would you be doing as governor?
As governor, first, we need to address a lot of the basic problems. Stop having government work top to bottom. Government needs to work bottom up, because when you fix your foundation, we all know, we all learn this, foundation is important. And our foundation is all off the rockers. So, mental health, that's everybody's foundation. People are walking around, you have all different levels. And the one that we never even really address is the functioning, depressed people,
Yes, I agree.
We know how to function. We know how to get out here and go and do, but we're depressed because we don't have time, because we're taking care of family, we're taking care of community, and we're taking care of everything that everybody out here on the outside that has the opportunities to be able to go take a break and go off on a vacay looks at us and say, well, that's your own fault. No, because if we don't do it, nobody else is jumping in here to take care of our communities. But
what would you say about the police?
About the police?
Do you think we should defund them?
No, I don't think we should defund the police.
Hold on. Are you Democrat or Republican, by the way?
I'm running on a Democrat ticket.
That's fine.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What made you choose Democrat?
So what made me choose Democrat is, now I will say that I have some conservative views when it comes to budgeting.
Understood. And like you said, you don't want to defund the police.
Yes.
Tell me about that first.
So the important thing for people to remember about me is my campaign slogan is removing labels. Everybody always think that you're in a party and you have to vote everything the party wants and everything that the party does. And that's where we're kind of frustrated and feeling about these two-party people, because they're nothing but puppets. Mm-hmm. So I'm nobody's puppet. I'm like Shirley Chisholm, unbossed and unbought. So with the police, my husband is an ex-felon. He served 24 years in prison. And I tell people that he is the poster child of what reform justice should look like, because he got out, he ran for city council. Mm-hmm. He didn't think that he could do it. But, you serve your time, you get out and do, because if you never forgive people, then what type of society will we really have? Because then you're going to have those repeat offenders. So first off, we have to deal with police brutality. All cops are not bad. It's acknowledging that there are those who need to be held accountable.
Do you think that the cop system is getting burnt out because of the fact that they're working strenuous hours and, they don't get time with their family?
I from the police, I hear different types.
You hear it from the police?
Yeah,
okay.
from them, they have different, everyone has a different perspective.
Okay.
So everything can't be lumped in as one thing, which is why I don't believe that we should have one-size-fit-all rules.
True.
And
I agree.
it is taking, one thing that I would do is have the law enforcement, have members of the community and the state attorney general come together and sit there and collaborate on a law that works for everyone. Not, oh, this law was made and now the community is getting screwed over, or the police being afraid that the community doesn't understand what is going on. No, let's sit here and hash this out. Keep going back to the drawing board until we get it right, and we all say this is the law.
Tell me one more thing about the police. Okay, there's 8 million folks here in Washington State. There's only 8,000 cops. There's 8 million people in county.
Yes.
What would you do to try to help the police? Because you know that there are some crooked cops out there. That's true. So what would you do as governor to try to crack down and help people in the communities and rural areas of Washington State?
Yeah. So I believe this is a multifaceted thing to address. So one, because I have a preventive maintenance program, and then I also have that one of damage control. So on my preventive maintenance one, like the Kia boys stole my car just back in October. So like you have to first look at the problem. Stop pointing fingers and stop saying trying to put a band-aid on everything. But what is the problem? When our youth look over to the look at our adults, and what do we always tell them? Work hard because it pays off. What examples of payoff do we have in our community? Because our elders are dying, still busting their behinds. Some of them bagging groceries or dying and like stressed out, all of those type of things. So you telling me that's what I'm looking up to? When I look on the other side of the fence and the grass looks a little greener and they're taking vacations now and later, not, and from our perception it looks like they're doing nothing to do it. So you're saying work hard. So when the Kia boys are not working hard to get what they want, hey, their example is what's on the other side of the fence, that they don't know how that even came about. So we're not offering our youth any outlet or hope of what to do. So one of my things is Hope Washington. So a couple of ways that is, bring the ex-felons who meet a certain criteria, and the law enforcement, have them to work together and start a mentorship program. We had McGruff. This would be like a McGruff type program. Because face it, all of the youth are not going to take to a police officer being, a mentor, but you have some kids who come from gang-related backgrounds that might be able to relate to an ex-felon. So have them work together. You have youth who end up in front of the courts. No family member comes up there on their behalf. Let that be a part of the law enforcement training and community service hours. Go mentor one of these youth. When they're in that court, you come be the support system. You come be with that youth, walk them through a whole process. So that's one on the preventive maintenance side. And then another part of preventive maintenance is also give the youth the opportunity to have jobs. Like I said, I never knew about being able to have, this opportunity. I've learned a whole bunch of other jobs that I would have never known about had I not been campaigning or my brother scored high on certain things. So offer that, but they get paid our minimum wage is $15, but the federal is probably $7 an hour. Let them get a minimum wage check and also take some financial training. So that's on that preventive maintenance side. On the other side is working with the law enforcement on different things like their training, community service hours, and then also offer incentives. Live in the community that you're patrolling. Because when you know those families, you're less likely to be reactive or be afraid of the people that you're working with because you guys have built a relationship being in that community. So I offer these type of incentives. But everything, I'm not just going to be like, oh, this is what I'm demanding from you guys. I would love to sit down and collaborate and work together as community and law enforcement and governor's office to make sure that we're all in agreement.
Well said. And tell me, you have Seattle jail system, right?
Yes.
And you have not King, but what jail system? It is in Kent. You got the Kent County jail system and you got the King County jail system. Tell me, what would you do to help grow more jail systems? Because I know for a fact that they're rotating people that should not be out on the street in and out of jail, which is causing children that are walking home are getting robbed by homeless, and people has been rotating in and out of jail. So tell me, what would you do as governor to help that?
So to address that, it would really take a deeper dive into looking at all the system, because I would not want to, like I say, make a one-size-fit-all or put no Band-Aid on things. So some of it is going to be the laws that have been passed that are just allowing people to be out on the street. Why
I
are they
agree.
being just put out on the street?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much of growing the system, because we want to try to create a reduced recidivism where people are not repeat offenders. So if we can get those repeat offenders to being on a holistic path, then we don't have to worry about, those constantly going back in. And then, like you said, those one who are just, doing harsh things that, hey, ain't no fixing you. You're just determined to be this way. Then is there a law that is preventing this? So it's addressing everything, and that would also involve bringing in the judges too, because people get mad at judges, but they don't understand that these judges have to follow the laws that are passed down to them. They're just the
Understood.
enforcers.
So going back to the young adults in the community, we have young adults working at McDonald's, and then we have felons that get out of King County, and they rotate them into these restaurants with children that just want a new beginning. How would you fix that? Because I understand you want to help felons. Don't worry. I understand what you're
Yes.
saying. Tell me how you would help the children to get a better community type deal at working at McDonald's without having to get intel and bashed by these felons. And tell me also how you would help the felons. You said you want to look at the laws,
Yes.
but tell me more, elaborate on that a little bit more.
So, like what everybody has to realize too is that the governor does not pass laws or
Okay.
those type of things. That's
True.
your legislation.
Okay.
So, but a governor can write executive orders or directives, and directives means like if there's this gray area in the law that's causing a lot of confusion,
Mm-hmm.
the governor can write a directive that makes it less confusing. And so some things like homelessness, I can write a budget and I have my policies and ideas and plans for that, but that's not my job. That's the mayor's job. I cannot
Understood.
override those positions. So when it comes to certain areas like felons and working in, some of these things are going to fall back to your cities and your county rules, and those things are kind of like where my hands would be tied.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be, like I said, I would have to look at the laws and what those things are, because at the same token, if it's like felons, like you said, that are beating and bashing or whatever, like where are we doing to hold those accountable? Because we don't want them to get mixed up with like the whole thing of like when people say all cops are bad. No, and all felons are not coming out to try to, be in that same situation. But that's also one thing that I want to address is when felons come out, what type of programs, because I've been talking to a lot of different programs who are trying to help ex-felons transition, and sometimes they need to be able to transition in another location because you don't want to be around the same people that you were around before that got you into those same situations. So what avenues need to be provided for that? Is it a matter of budgeting? Is it a matter of opening up location in a whole different part of Washington? So it's looking at all of those things. It's not going to be a one size fit all or overnight thing.
Tell me before we move on, what does you were explaining about mayor's jobs and governor's jobs. Tell me, what does a mayor do, and what would you do to enforce what your defined value is as governor?
Yes. So a mayor, now I don't know all of the details of what a mayor does,
That's
but
fine.
I do know that they when I was looking at about budgeting and what I can do as a governor, and then talking to some politicians.
What
Eh,
politicians have you talked to in Olympia?
So the politician who helps me, I have one politician who helps me who's actually out of state in in
Wow.
Florida. A
What is their name?
former state representative Jimmy T. Smith out
I
of
heard of
Florida.
him.
Yes,
Yes.
he's actually one of my donors too. So he's
Great.
very supportive. I interned for him before, and
Cool.
so when I'm looking at things and I'm bouncing things off, he'll say, "Okay, you can do that, or you can't do this because you have this group who will feel like they're being infringed on. I'm like, okay, fine, go back to the drawing board. So he always challenges me to be very open and not dogmatic about the ways that I think. And then there's another one that I keep unnamed because of different things that, how do you say, in politics until we get really big.
Tell me about, define them. Is it a him or her?
Him.
Okay, so this creative him, what has he done to help you?
He helps me with budget.
Okay.
He works with $1 million companies in his own time. And so we talk about different things with the budget and ways to find, make it where we're not raising taxes and maybe being able to give more incentives to our communities to be able to boost our economy around here.
Do you think in a bipartisan way we will ever, some Republicans and Democrats get along, but do you think in a bipartisan way that we will get along and actually start getting the president's attention to, I don't want to get too much into politics. I just wanted to define bipartisan Republican and Democrat, what that means to get their attention on the border crisis that's going on. What is your input in under 2 minutes? Because we're almost crunched for time.
On the border crisis, on the border crisis, that's a federal thing.
Understood.
And so I'll bring it a little bit closer to home.
Correct.
And I'll talk about how our governor made us a sanctuary state. I don't think that we should be a sanctuary state because we're already having a difficulty taking care of the people that we have. So I, believe taking care of home. But I would offer the people is to be sanctuary communities. So if you as a community say, hey, we all don't mind pitching together and we're going to take in so many people and we're going to make sure that they have places to stay, they get on their feet, they get their citizenship, and we help them get on their path that they need to go, then that community takes on that, as opposed to having a whole state where everybody's feeling already the burden and the pressures and taxes, and then people who are citizens are being pushed further down the line, as opposed to,
One last quick question. In under 1 minute, tell me, what advice do you have to give to the young entrepreneurs in the heart of Seattle, Kent, everywhere, Bellevue, that they will ingrain in their brain? And then we're going to talk about how to find you, okay?
I would tell them, don't be afraid. Fear is going to come, and that's fear is to deter you from your dreams and to always keep you in a suppressed and an oppressed mindset. And if you just push past, eventually what it is that you're looking for will come, because like they said, so many no's, and sometimes I'm like, when do the no's stop? But it's not about those no's, just take the journey.
Now, how can the people find you, Ilana?
Yes.
I already have you on my Instagram, by the way. Yes. You got to find her.
My website is peoplebeforeparty.com. And you can follow me on all the social medias, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of those, at Ilona4Gov. That's ELONAFORGOV.
Well, to all those politicians out there, in closing, Ilana, she is a wonderful person. And I just want y'all to support her, because she is an awesome person. And she had wonderful, great answers. So thank you so much for joining my show, Ilana.
Thank you.
And stay here. I'm usually saying stay on the line. Take care, y'all. Woohoo! I'll see y'all later next Friday, 1:30.